Good morning, everybody. Joe Cusick here from the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock, here with your MarketStream.live overnight report. Well, turning to Asia right now, we have a mixed bag overnight. Markets closed with the Nikkei in Japan up 1.7%, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong down about 1.4%, and Shanghai up about 0.5%. Now, the Japanese Nikkei had better than expected GDP numbers. That means that we could potentially see some growth there. You also saw that with that positive note and the positive push on stocks, another positive for shares in Japan was the fact that the yen dropped about 1%. That's spurring a lot of buying there. Export names were the most notable ones, with Nissan, Honda, Mazda, and Hitachi, as well as Panasonic, all up to the upside, looking at around 3% gains. EWJ looks like it's poised for an interesting week. Options are pricing in the potential for this ETF that tracks Japanese stocks to move about 1.8% this morning. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that this week. Stock went out on Friday at 49.50, and the implied volatility is still on the lower end. What does that mean to you? That means that right now there isn't a heightened expectation of violent moves in EWJ, the ETF that tracks Japanese stocks. Now, taking a look at Hong Kong and the Hang Seng, most of the components were in the red. The primary ones that were dragging the market down were mobile and energy names. They were sliding to the downside. We did see some financial names, though, that were roughly up on average around 1.2%. So very interesting action in Hong Kong. With EWH as the ETF that tracks Hong Kong stocks, the options are pricing in the potential for the stock to move about 43 cents this week, either up or down. Stock went out on Friday at 20.81. Again, as you're looking to add some exposure to either emerging markets or more mature foreign markets, these ETFs are a great place to just watch and potentially invest or trade. Vol is a little bit higher, so there is some expectation of some potential violent moves this week. But again, 43 cents is what's pricing in, roughly right around a 1.8, 1.9% move being priced in there. Now, China, they released some economic figures that were less than rosy. Both industrial production and retail sales came out better than what was expected. Now, typically when you see this type of action come out of China as far as worse than expected economic data, that means that the government's going to potentially step in. We're going to keep an eye on that. Doesn't mean that they have to, but watch ASHR, A-S-H-R. That's the ETF that tracks the stocks in the Shanghai Index in China. It went out on Friday at 25.11. The options in ASHR that are expiring at the end of this week are pricing in the potential for this ETF that tracks Chinese stocks to move about 3%, around 73 cents. Keep an eye on this one. And again, if you're looking for exposure to China, ASHR is the ticker symbol. You could take a look at that. Now, India was closed. The options in the ETF that tracks Indian stocks is pricing in a potential of moving around 3% either up or down in EPI, which is that ETF. Now, Europe, looks like right now the session has opened and is in the green. We see that the UK FTSE is up about 0.2%, French CAC up about 0.4%, and the German DAX is up about 0.4%. We continue to see pretty decent data come out both on GDP. And also, we're seeing that European yields continue to move to the upside. With the strength in the U.S. dollar, weakness in their currencies, and the potential for exports to pick up, as well as the fact that GDPs across the globe have been continuing to increase, this could be a positive for a variety of different sectors, most notably exports, could be financials, as well as materials. So let's jump in and see what's happening in Germany. Leadership in Germany right now in the session is in the materials and industrial section, as well as in financials. EWG is the ETF that you can utilize to track as well as potentially invest in Germany here in the United States. It's trading at 25.49. The options are pricing in the potential for this week for EWG to move either up or down around 2%. Now, taking a look at London, the UK FTSE, strengths in the industrials as well as energy and financial names. The industrials and energies in London are moving to the upside. That's really where the upside pop has been. And EWU is the ETF that you could take a look at, monitor how that's trading. That'll give you a real good pulse on what's going on in England and in the FTSE stocks. Went out on Friday at $30.10. Roughly, the options are pricing in the potential this week to move about 1.7% for the stock. Decent sized move, and we'll keep an eye on that, especially with the sectors that we're starting to see similar moves here in the United States. We're seeing it globally. Finally, the French CAC. Strength in financials as well as materials. A consistent theme that you're hearing around the globe, folks. So this is why you want to keep an eye on these stocks. You want to keep an eye on these markets. EWQ is the ETF that you could follow to track French stocks, also potentially invest. The ETF went out at 23.62. The options in EWQ are pricing in the potential this week for the stock to roughly move around 1.9%, either up or down, roughly 46 cents. So that's it for right now for the overnight action here from MarketStream.live. Join us at 9:30 Eastern Time, and we'll start talking a little about what's hot on the open, and we'll talk about what you could be looking at into this trading day. Have a great trading day. We'll talk to you soon.